Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be taking a look at how these two sources that maybe seem a little bit different on the surface actually can complement each other.
Yeah, definitely.
We've got The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, which was written by Dr. Joseph Murphy, and The Law of One, which is a channeled text. And we're going to be exploring consciousness and spirituality and maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see how they kind of mesh together.
Yeah, me too. So let's jump right in.
Let's do it.
So The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, Dr. Murphy, he kind of hammers home this idea that the subconscious is like this crazy powerful force that can just shape our reality, like literally.
Yeah.
And there's that story in there, and I think this is why this book is so popular, this story of this guy who's like, I don't want to lose my arm, I want to lose my arm. And
Yeah.
then boom, he loses his arm because his subconscious is like,
It's so
doesn't
powerful.
know the difference between a joke and a deeply held fear. It's just taking everything literally.
Yeah, it just takes it literally and then you end up manifesting it in your reality.
Exactly. And so, like, after reading something like that, it really makes you think, like, what about our own, like, unintentional beliefs? Like, what are we carrying around that
Right.
could be
Yeah.
shaping our reality?
Absolutely. And that's where the law of one comes in, right? It
Right.
talks about densities of consciousness and how Earth is transitioning from third to fourth density, which is characterized by, greater awareness, interconnectedness, compassion.
So, like, all of the shifts that are happening in our society right now, this yearning for, like, spiritual growth
Yeah.
and even the global challenges, like, this is all part of that.
Exactly. It's all part of this big shift from
Yeah.
third to fourth density.
So as we evolve individually, like, we're contributing to the collective evolution of consciousness.
That's the idea. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So that kind of, I don't know, puts a little bit more weight on our own personal journeys.
Absolutely.
Like it really matters.
Yeah.
Okay. So how does that then tie back into the power of your subconscious mind?
Well, both sources, they both emphasize the power of thought and belief to transform us,
Right.
but they do come at it from different angles.
Okay.
Dr. Murphy focuses on the individual's power to reprogram their subconscious,
Yeah.
whereas the law of one puts it into this larger cosmic context of service to others and universal love,
Yeah. Okay. I can see that.
you know?
Yeah. And this is where it gets really interesting because the law of one also talks about these wanderers, which I know is like a really fascinating concept for a lot of people.
It is.
It's these souls from higher densities who are like, okay, we're going to go to Earth and help out.
Yeah, they're volunteering, to
Yeah.
help with the planet's evolution.
And so they have these characteristics, like this feeling of not quite belonging.
Yeah, they don't really fit in.
They feel different. They
Yeah.
have this strong desire to like serve others.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes they even have like physical challenges because the vibration of Earth is so dense.
Yeah, it can be really tough for them to adjust.
Wow. So even feeling alienated can actually have a purpose within this framework.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like it's all part of the plan in a way.
It's all part of the journey.
And so it makes you think like, could you be a wanderer? Like, do you resonate with any of these traits?
Yeah, it's an interesting question to ask yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
And it makes me think about the idea of catalysts, which is basically like any experience, whether it's positive or negative, can be an opportunity for growth.
Yeah, it's like those experiences that push us outside of our comfort zone.
Yeah. And so it's not about avoiding those difficult things, but it's about how do we interpret them? How do we use them to propel ourselves forward?
Yeah, exactly. It's all about the perspective.
And so the power of your subconscious mind and the law of one, they both kind of point to this idea that we have these blockages, right?
Yeah.
Whether they're in our energy centers or in the form of like these limiting beliefs.
Yeah, and those blockages can really prevent us from growing and evolving.
Okay, so where do these blockages come from?
Well, they can come from lots of places, like unresolved emotional patterns, past traumas, negative thought patterns.
Yeah, it's like all that baggage that we carry around.
Exactly.
So the big question then is like, how do we get rid of these blockages?
Yeah.
And Dr. Murphy talks about the importance of conscious positive suggestions to like reprogram the subconscious mind.
Right.
So is there a connection there with the law of one's emphasis on service to others and universal love?
Yeah, definitely. There's a strong connection there. The law of one suggests that aligning with that principle of love and service actually makes your subconscious reprogramming more effective.
Okay.
So it's like you're tapping into a universal power source that's going to accelerate your personal growth.
So it's like when you're so focused on like helping somebody else, you forget about your own problems.
Exactly. And that shift in energy, it creates a space for positive change.
Okay.
So it's not to say that self-care and personal growth aren't important, but the law of one really emphasizes that true empowerment comes from connecting with a higher purpose.
Yeah, so we've got these two sources that kind of approach things differently, but they're coming together on these really key ideas.
Yeah.
The subconscious mind of powerful, you got to give it positive suggestions. And there's this link between personal growth and a universal love and service.
Absolutely. And it's important to remember that the Laws One doesn't present these ideas as like dogma.
Right.
It's more of a framework for understanding consciousness from a cosmic perspective.
Okay. Yeah, so it's like an open invitation to dive deeper into these ideas.
Exactly.
So let's get practical.
Okay.
Dr. Murphy gives us all these tools to work with the subconscious,
Yeah.
affirmations, visualizations, even working with the subconscious before sleep.
Right.
How do these practices get, like, enhanced by the law of one?
Okay, so let's take affirmations.
Okay.
Dr. Murphy says, you repeat positive statements that match up with your desired reality.
Right.
And the Law of One adds another layer to that, like you have to embody the vibration of those words through your actions and choices.
So it's not just like saying the words over and over.
Exactly. It's about really living them.
Okay, what about visualizations?
Visualizations, they're all about creating those vivid mental images of what you want.
Right.
And the Law of One might encourage us to think beyond ourselves, like how can our desires serve a greater good?
So it's like expanding those visualizations to include a bigger picture.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so what about working with the subconscious before sleep?
Well, Dr. Mercy says our subconscious is super receptive when we're relaxed and drowsy.
Right.
And the Law of One might suggest practicing gratitude or sending loving energy out into the world before you fall asleep.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it kind of infuses your subconscious with that positive energy.
So even sleep becomes a time for transformation.
Exactly.
Okay.
And don't forget about meditation. The Law of One emphasizes that meditation helps us quiet the mind and connect with our inner wisdom.
So we can become more aware of those subconscious patterns.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got all these tools, affirmations, visualizations, working with the subconscious before sleep meditation, and they all get a boost when we combine them with love and service.
Yeah, it's about weaving these practices into our lives.
Okay.
Not just doing them in isolation, but really making them a part of who we are.
Yeah. And this reminds me of the veil of forgetting from the law of one.
Oh, yeah.
It's that cosmic amnesia that makes us forget our true spiritual nature.
Right.
But could it also be a metaphor for all the things that hold us back?
That's a great point.
The conditioning, the limiting beliefs, the distractions?
Yeah, it's like we're blinded to our own potential.
And maybe the law of one is like a map to navigate through all that.
Yeah, like a guide to help us remember who we really are.
And it's not just about remembering, but it's about actively participating in this evolution of consciousness. So we've talked about this cosmic perspective. We've got these practical tools and this call to step into our power. But how do we make it real in our everyday lives?
Yeah, how do we actually bridge that gap?
It's like we're talking about this huge shift. Like it's not just about changing our habits or setting goals. It's about something much bigger.
Yeah, it's about tapping into this deeper purpose.
But how do we actually start making those connections, in real life?
Well, I think it starts with awareness. We've been talking about the subconscious, but a lot of times we're just on autopilot.
Right.
We don't even realize what beliefs and patterns are running the show.
So it's like becoming aware of our own thoughts and feelings, like what's going on in there.
Exactly. And what are the stories we're telling ourselves, about who we are and what we can do?
It's like taking a look inside and seeing what's holding us back.
Yeah, and once you see those patterns, you can start to challenge them.
Okay.
Like, is this belief even true? Does it help me? Or is it just something I've been carrying around for years?
Yeah, it's like that saying, the mind is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master.
Exact.
We get to choose which thoughts we focus on.
And that's where those techniques we talked about come in, like affirmations.
Oh, right.
They help us rewrite those old stories.
And visualizations help us experience what we want to create.
Yeah, and working with the subconscious before sleep, it's like planting seeds of change.
It's like we're taking control of our inner world.
Exactly. We're not just letting things happen. We're actively shaping them.
And as we do that, we can connect it back to that idea of love and service from the law of one.
Yeah, like how can we use our talents to make a difference?
Even small acts of kindness,
Absolutely.
So it's about moving from scarcity to abundance.
Yeah, from separation to connection.
All connected.
And when we start living that way, it's like things start to flow.
Okay.
We attract the right people, the right opportunities.
Like we unlock this hidden power.
Yeah, and it was always there just waiting to be activated.
That's amazing. It makes me think about all the listeners out there who are maybe just starting to explore these ideas.
Yeah.
What advice would you give them?
I would say be patient with yourself. It's a journey. There will be ups and downs, but just keep coming back to these principles, keep practicing, and trust the process.
So it's like a lifelong adventure, this exploration of consciousness.
It is.
And maybe as more of us wake up to this potential, we can create a world that's more loving and connected.
I believe. So it starts with each of us.
Wow, that's a powerful thought. So to all our listeners out there, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep shining your light. We're all in this together.